Tonight on Oregon Art Beat.
I will listen to the music before I go to sleep, and I'll tell myself to have a dream about it, and then I'll wake up with an idea.
He's known as the thinking person's poster artist.
I can't tolerate empty space. I have to fill it up with little details. I like to get lost in the art.
Oregon Art Beat starts now.
This is the People's Art of Portland, and it's the kind of place you're going to see established artists showing right alongside emerging artists.
This work is by a guy who's one of the best-known graphic artists in Portland.
He's had such a long and storied career that we asked him for some art tips.
Oh, hello. Welcome to another episode of Art Tips with EMEK. Today, I think it's really important when you're working that you always work from left to right. So as you're working across your page, you don't smear your ink. Oh. I love music. I love all kinds of music. I listen to the music, I get different ideas, and then I figure out how I'm going to render that idea.
If you've been to a concert or even a local show in the last 20 years, you've probably seen work by the artist known simply as EMEK. He was born on a kibbutz in Israel, and into circumstances that shaped his life irrevocably.
Well, my earliest childhood memories as a child laborer in a plutonium mine were not ideal. Our village, we were all...
Okay, most of that's not true. But EMEK's strong, creative streak is something that runs in the family.
My parents are my biggest influences. I grew up pretty much in my parents' art studio. We didn't have a television, and we did art for fun as a family. We were exposed to all different types of art. And the things that I was always attracted to were the rock and roll posters, the artwork that had text as part of the art, even as a little kid. Here's one, but I really like this one. This was fun. Then later, I had friends in high school that were musicians, and they would have parties on weekends, and I started doing the flyers for them and started painting on people's skateboards, and I just became known as the art guy, and, you know, many years later, here I am.
About 7 years ago, EMEK and his wife, sculptor Ronnie Cobrin, left Los Angeles and headed north to Oregon.
My wife had gone to college here, and she said we need to check out Portland. And so I came to visit and fell in love with the place. And then I said to my dad, I'm moving you up here too. And then I moved my mom up here and my grandmother. Now I'm just working on my brother and my sister to move up here too. I will listen to the music before I go to sleep, and I'll tell myself to have a dream about it. And then I'll wake up with an idea.
This image for the Coachella Music Festival was one of those, materializing with a soundtrack from the band Pretty Lights.
I can't tolerate empty space. I have to fill it up with little details. I like to get lost in the art. I love machinery, I love mechanics, I love the human skeletal system and how it's under us as we're talking. And that includes decay and decompositions and things falling apart, being neglected, being thrown out. I like to celebrate it in a way and show that if we keep ignoring it, it's going to come back to haunt us.
A A few years back, EMEK began printing by computer, but each layer of every piece is still individually silkscreened.
So this was my first layer, and then this was the second layer, which is printed on top. This is the third layer, and then your original black and white drawing gets printed last over everything and brings it together. After doing hundreds and hundreds of posters the traditional silkscreen way, I was looking, and am still looking, for ways of mixing it up. This is a poster that's embossed. This was one of my very first 3D posters that I did. This was done in 2002, and it's the first concert circuit board. Why not make a poster entirely out of branding irons? This was the first concert fossil.
EMEK's originality also makes his art highly collectible.
For some of the gig posters that he has out there, it's like finding the first issue of Superman for collectors.
Joseph Rose is a reporter for The Oregonian, as well as a rock and roll or gig poster collector.
Gig posters during the 1960s were a quintessential part of the music scene. We really don't have that visual connection in the iTunes age, and he's kind of given a rebirth to that whole idea of having a visual connection to the music that we listen to.
In the collecting world, EMEK is known as the thinking man's poster artist.
I'd like to think if you have a sense of depth, that life is more than instant gratification and it's more than just about you. I think that just always inspires creativity. You never run out of ideas. I have so many ideas and I'm always coming up with more, and I can't work fast enough to get all my ideas out. I thought of the idea, so I have to do it. It's my passion. Some of the subject matter is dark, but I don't just try to make it dark for dark's sake. I drew a poster that is based on a well-known American sculpture called The End of the Trail. And my version is a robot Native American on a robot horse sitting on the last tree stump. And he's weary, he's broken down, he's made from homemade parts, and yet he's got a little medicine bag, and out of that is growing a new plant. There's always some dream or hope or just some power that can't be completely ignored or vanquished, I guess, in a lot of my work.
Has single-handedly reinvented and reignited this whole idea and this whole movement of rock posters that tell a story not just about the band, but a moment in time, about the historical significance of the band often.
I was influenced by the great rock poster artists that came before me, my heroes, Rick Griffin and Mouse and Victor Moscoso, Randy Tootin, Wes Wilson, many, many great 60s poster artists, which I've had the honor to meet over the years and work with some of them. So you can't ask for anything more. They're passing the torch on to me. This is an antiquated, labor-intensive, hands-on art form. Like any artist, you are trying to create the illusion of permanence, especially in a rock poster, which has the expiration date printed right on it, but make it, built to last.
You can see EMEK's posters pretty much anywhere in the world, and even at some local venues for some of the bigger acts that come through the Northwest.
But if you can't see them there, you can always come here to see them at the People's Art of Portland.